Hello, and welcome to Juneteenth 196 2020 Special Edition B-HBrilliantMinds Project Inc. is honored to bring to you invited guests who will share their personal stories from past to present. B-HBrilliantMinds Project Inc. understands the importance of leaving a legacy that will carry on after we're gone. We know the importance and that we have the responsibility of keeping our stories alive, creating opportunities for our voices and our communities to be heard and seen. The Juneteenth 196 2020 Special Edition will create the essence of why we are to celebrate and honor the backs, the shoulders of our ancestors, who we stand on. Their faith, their resilience, their strength, their blood, sweat, and tears are the building blocks for the generations to come. We are blowing into the winds of creation as we create and prepare the brilliant minds of the future towards excellence. This evening, we have Aries Jordan, and we want to say hello to you today, this evening. And I have three questions, for you. The first question is, tell me a little bit about yourself, your family, your upbringing, and your passion. And I will go back through them if you need me to go but welcome.
Okay, thank you for having me. Just a little bit about myself. I am born and raised in New York. So that's just so important to my story of just growing up in New York and Queens, Southside Jamaica, Queens.
All right.
Home of so many great. So that's just like a source of great pride of just being proud for being from Southside Jamaica, Queens. I've been in Oakland for, I'm looking at it, it's been a decade. 2020 made a decade. From coming from New York to Oakland, California. So I'm a writer, I am a poet, I am a sixth grade ELA teacher, I am a mom, I am a wife, I am here.
Yes.
And present.
Yes. So a little bit about your upbringing, as you were saying, the significance of saying where you from. I know you stand on tall shoulders there. So tell us a little bit about your mentoring, who was your mentors as you were growing up?
Okay, so my first mentor definitely is my mom. She worked at a hospital in like accounts payable, but that's like my number one mentor of just like being there for me, of inspiring me, and just letting me know that I can accomplish anything. Like I've seen her go through like her struggles raising me and my sister, and then later meeting my stepdad, but just her fierceness. And I think my mother has such a big personality that I feel like growing up that kind of scared me a little bit of just like, they say you end up becoming like your parents, but I think just seeing my mother own her power, being unapologetic, speaking her mind, being passionate, speaking with force, with power, of just like, compared to society, that's like, okay, for a woman, that's a little bit too much, but that's just like my first mentor of just watching my mom and just like the push, the pull of just like, wow, my mom is powerful, but then society is kind of like a woman is supposed to be a little bit softer and stuff like that. So that's my definitely my number one mentor. And just kind of growing up, it's so funny that you asked, because I feel like I always had mentors throughout my life of just like people that have guided me. So growing up, I did have a teacher that mentored me. This was my history teacher who kind of inspired me and saw that I can write. So once he saw that I had a passion for writing, like he used to give me assignments and, try to expose me to different articles and kind of challenge me. And he's been my mentor since like 10th grade in high school, as just like one of the people that like guided me, encouraged me. And then in college I had Dr. Wade Lewis. And Dr. Wade Lewis, she was the chair of the Black Studies Department. And one story I can tell about Dr. Wade Lewis of just like her mentorship, she was kind of like the backbone on I would say a predominantly white campus. Like, we had a Black Studies department, but she was accessible. She taught classes where I learned about the Gullah Geechee people and just about language that just Ebonics Ebonics is rooted in African language. So I think that kind of like blew my mind. And I'll never forget a moment where like I got accepted to a study abroad program. And well, actually I wanted to get accepted to this program. So I mean, I was being diligent, being confident, letting them know I'm going to do this program, but I need y'all to process my application, study abroad department, so that I could start fundraising to do this. And they gave me so much runaround, so many like put downs of just like, you sure you want to do this program? It's kind of expensive. And I remember coming to Dr. Wade Lewis and crying and just telling her like I wanted to do this so bad. They were holding up my application. And she was like, okay. The next day, they said, we spoke to Dr. Wade Lewis and we had processed your application. So that's just the type of person she was. Even though she was a department chair, she still was accessible and still available. And she has become an ancestor at this point, but she was one of the people that really influenced me.
Right. Her spirit still reigns in you today, just as well as the power of your mom. So,
Absolutely.
so you have your own family. Tell us about that.
Well, I do have my own family of just like my husband, he's from Senegal, and we met in Oakland. And I have a son. And just like what I would say about my family is like the intermarriage of African American culture, African culture. Like, even though I thought I was Afrocentric and all of these things, like just the clashes, the collides, the building of like culture, of him being Muslim, me being Christian, and just like these dynamics of just like expectations and cultural references. I feel like, we found middle ground of just like, in the diaspora, our goal is like, yeah, we're going to return back to Africa, but in a way, in our relationship of just kind of meeting each other and doing some of the work, the healing, the conflicts, the love, the challenges, and just the perseverance of just bringing these two dynamic cultures together.
Wow.
And then,
go ahead.
And yeah, and then my son, Legend, who just turned 6. That's
no way. Wow. I think the last time I seen him, he was 3.
Wow.
That's crazy.
It's been a minute. He just turned 6 last Saturday.
Wow.
So that's my family, is just the meshing of just like two cultures. And yeah, like I said, of just bringing, and some of the things that come up of just like that comes up in our relationship of just like, okay, I'm African American, I cook, I like soul food. Mohammed, he likes fish, he likes, different kind of dishes, and just finding a way to create our new tradition and also heal some of the trauma of being African American, of being colonized, and just coming together. So that's my family.
That's it. That's awesome. That's really, really cool. As you were saying earlier, that you had two women that supported you and the work that you do, and that you and to the woman that you become. Growing up for myself, I just say this is that I had a teacher. I really loved the teacher, and she was one of my mentors. So I thought. And she told me that I would never, ever be anything. And when she did that, I just said, forget everything. And then I left school and only had like 40 credits to go. I was in the 12th grade at the time. So I said this to say, the reason why I do what I do for you all is because I vow to myself that no one under my watch would ever disrespect anybody and tell them that they couldn't go after their dreams and that they were not somebody. And I made sure that people know that folks' stories are important, the good, bad, the ugly, and just knowing that I couldn't have someone else feel like I felt at that time, so, and I commend you on the work that you do in the schools, in the community. How we met was at one of the schools in Fruitvale, at Fruitvale Elementary School. I think that's where you and I met.
Yep.
And me having my class as being, a life coach with the 180-degree program. So your passion, tell me about your passion.
My passion. I think my passion my passion hasn't changed, but my form has. So my passion is really being of service, of being creative, just the creative. I love the creative process. And that's what I realized, like my passion is being creative, visioning. I feel like I'm a visionary, and I feel like creativity gives you the opportunity to just go beyond time. And I express my creativity through my writing, where it's like almost like time traveling and just being of service. And I've always I'm thinking about like my high school yearbook. I was like, I want to be a politician, because really and who knows if that's in the cards for me, but it was really, where can I make change in society? How can I be of service? And I've realized, I said, the form has changed. Like I teach, and I just love molding and creating possibilities. So my passion is just of service, of creativity, of writing, being around beautiful minds, and, just getting to do that with my sixth graders. Like, they're at such a pivotal time. And I realize I enjoy just working with people who are in transitions in their life. Like my sixth graders, they're just coming to middle school and just, building up their confidence and letting them know that it's about believing in yourself. Like the grades, it's about believing in yourself. You can do anything in life. And regardless of what their grades are going to be, I let them know, like, I want to build up their academic confidence, because the grades will change. But if you can be confident, know that you can get better, know that if you put in effort. So I just feel like my passion is just being of service, being in a creative process, and definitely writing, because that's just my outlet of just, you see, I'm getting all excited. That's just my outlet.
No, that's good. That's good. This is what it's about. And I do want you to share a couple pieces of the ones that you already published. And you are an author too. Tell us about your book.
Okay, so my book is written in 2011, is Journey to Womanhood. And actually, my journey to womanhood, I feel like, began in California, of just kind of reflecting, just kind of being on my own. So in 2011, came in around 2010. So a year later, I met I met Marvin X, who's also a writer, and then we came together and he gave me the formula, and I was just like, I've been writing my whole life. And one of the beliefs that I told myself is that I'm gonna do this when I'm like in my 40s. And then it was just like, no, do it now.
Wow.
So then I wrote about Journey to Womanhood, and that was just about my journey to becoming a womanhood, and that is a journey, not a destination. Like, I feel like it's even unfolding what womanhood looks like now as a mom, as a wife. It looks so different from just when I wrote it in 2011. So that's my book of poetry. And then following that, I did some chapbooks, The Evolution of a Poetic Goddess, Black Butterfly. And it always has like a element of transformation, of just remembering that it's always a process. Like, there is no destination, that there's a process always unfolding into being it. So that's a little bit about my work, and I do some freelance writing and write for different publications.
Some of those are?
Oh, well, Indance Magazine, Weird.com, and just different places where I can just put my work out. I've written for what is it, the Berkeley, I forgot, like the Berkeley Juneteenth publication, and just a few other that I can't just name off the top, but a few anthologies I've been published in, like Stand Our Ground. Most recently was The Stories We Carry by the Healthy Black Families. It was a group of
Ayana, Miss Ayana?
Yes. And that anthology, I feel like that was one of the greatest joys to be published in a book full of Black women writers in different places in our life, but we came together to write, and we're committed to writing. Like, despite what life is throwing you, we all came together and then presented our best work of our journey together.
So do you have one that you can share with us now?
I can definitely pull up one, and this
so you see Miss Brown is on here too, so you can wave to her.
Hey, Keisha. This was I'm gonna pull it up. This was one of my
And thank you, Miss Brown, for joining us this evening. We really appreciate your vibrant spirit in the midst of being a part of this sisterhood, sharing with Aries' personal interview for the Juneteenth 196. Go ahead, Aries.
Okay, good. So this one is called Black Girl Dreams. I always knew I was a Black girl, lived in a Black neighborhood, went to a Black school, played with Black friends, Black aunties, and little Black cousins. In high school, I had Black girlfriends with big lips, full hips, and an attitude to match. When I got to college, my Black world got a little swirl. Knew I had to work harder than my white peers, needed to dream big Black girl dreams, big enough to hold all my family's failed attempts at the American dream. Sophomore year, I decided I was going to study abroad. Not just any program, but the scholarship that sailed to 14 countries in 4 months. So after weeks of eyeing the brochure, I completed my app and got the recommendation. So I proudly walked into the study abroad office and was assigned Old Wench number 1, who just looked at me when I sat down across from her. I gave her my application and told her how excited I was. Do you know how much this program costs? She said. Before I could answer, she went on to tell me that there was only one person from New York State schools who got accepted to the scholarship program, and he was still trying to raise money. Do you have rich people in your family? This time she actually paused to hear my response. No, I don't. She then suggested Jamaica or something more affordable because this program might not be the best fit. She shuffled some papers on her desk and with a look of disgust told me, come back in October. Thank you. Come back in October when we process all spring applications. But that is 2 months away from when the program starts, and I need to know if I'm accepted as soon as possible so that I can fundraise, I said, on the verge of tears. All spring applications will be accepted in October, she said, and shoved the study abroad brochures in my hand. She turned her back to me and told me she needed to make a phone call, and I leapt out of the seat, wanted to knock everything off her desk, and smacked the phone out of her hand, shoved my foot up her butt, and placed my feet in between the gates she had closed on my black girl dreams. Instead, I walked to the door with my head held high, like I had been instructed to do when that inevitable moment of racism came. I held back the tears until I turned the knob of the door.
3, 2.
I held back the tears until I turned the knob. Once out the door, the tears came drenching my shirt. It was the first time I ever questioned if there were dreams too big for a black girl like me.
Wow. Oh, that's pretty deep. Oh, that's awesome. So in the midst of being, it brought back to the reason, of course, again, why we are doing these personal stories, because our ancestors had stories like this. Being able to somebody telling you that you're worth nothing, that you owe macro aggression. You think, are you sure you want to do this program, or it's expensive? Okay, really? Why not? And not being, we see all these people in these positions, instead of being there to help, they're being there to like stop, like you said, on those dreams. And it's really not fair to us. But our ancestors, the shoulders that we stand on, they had to go through way much more than what we've gone through. And I'm like, I look back and see what we're doing, what we're going through, and I'm like, oh my God, the stuff that they went. I'm like, woo, they were something else. It took a lot of faith and strength, and not going to allow somebody to tell you no. No, you're not going to say no to me. I'm going to do this. So however way they had to do it, they still stood on, no, you're not. So there was another poem that, I know I love all your poems. And the other one I first heard you do some poetry was at Laney College. I was like, oh, it was a Black History. You and Samantha. No, Samantha. Well, yeah, both of you all was there. And I was like, I got to get these young ladies on my team. I got to know them. So I'm so grateful for your work that it brought us into relationship. And that was my next thing. How important is relationships to you? Sisterhood, being in a relationship with individuals, with people. How important is that to you?
I think that's such a good question, because I'm always like, naturally, I just enjoy being to myself.
Oh, an introvert.
So I'm an intro extrovert. Like,
okay,
that my true nature is to be to myself. But because it's just like my gifts, that's I'm born with the gift of being able to express myself through my writing, and I've learned to build up that muscle. But I prefer to just be to myself, just to kind of be chill, just to relax. So I've learned the value of relationships over the years of, like, I just went to my girlfriend's wedding from college, and we've been out of college for like, more than a decade, and just like realizing bonds of like, it's you gotta nurture those things. It's give and take, and they will change over time, but you have to nurture it and be a part of the moments that are important. And I love the relationships where it's just kind of ebb and flow. Like, I feel like with me and you, Miss Howard,
Yeah.
like, we don't have to be on the phone all the time. We don't have to, but we have established a relationship that I feel like is gonna withstand time, the changes in life. Like, and I love those relationships because, like I said, I prefer to be by myself, but I do need sisterhood. I do need to be held up. I do need accountability. I do need reflection. So even though my nature is just to be by myself, I've just learned that that is so important. Like, I expressed, like, my mentors are the women in my life. Um, what's helped me survive California are the women that I have met, like you included. I'm like, I see Miss Howard got them kids in shape. And it was just like, they would, talk about the kids. They say all kind of stuff about the kids and what they cannot do. But I saw with your group what they can do when somebody believes in them. And I feel like that's something I always admired about you. And, I do have some sister girlfriends,
Yeah.
and definitely in the Bay Area, those are the ones that have lifted me up. And I mean, I'm still learning about sisterhood because I have a sister. So I feel like that was interesting coming to California because my sister is like my best friend, my older sister. So when you have because you're from a family of sisters,
Yes.
but so it's kind of like you have that built-in sisterhood, and I felt like it was something already locked in that I never had to nurture. It just was. That's who you call. These are your friends. So just coming to California, just seeing like, wow, you have to nurture, you have to water sisterhood. You have to maintain lines of communication, being there for each other, making time. And I don't think I ever had to do that with the built-in sister. So, I think sisterhood is important. They reflect things at you. And just like, the women that I've met on my journey in California have just lifted me and just reflected things, you included, just like, have become a reflection for me. And I hope that I am the same for the women that I've connected with in California. But I
And
just want
that is so important, like you were saying, for all the people that I have built relationships with you, even you young folks. I tell Samantha and I tell you all the time, I work for you all. You all give me the energy that I need and the focus that I need because I have to do this work for you all. I have to pave the way. I know that you guys are a part of my life. And it is so beautiful when we can pick back up, even if we ain't seen each other in 15 years, or 10 years, or a year. It's like you said, I don't need to call you. I don't need to see you. You already automatically know that Miss Howard got your back. And if you need to call on me, I'm there, whatever the case may be. Those kind of relationships, like you said, is so important. I have people that we ain't talked to, I haven't talked to in a while, but the key is they like, we just keep going. It's no love lost. It's not that we all are busy, but however, being able to keep that mindset as though, you don't say anything negative about it just because you haven't talked to the person. It's just like, no. One thing that I do believe is the beauty of our ancestors getting ripped apart from each other. We're able to talk to each other in spirit. That's what I've gotten out of it. And that's the part with that I keep, is that I can think of you. I can feel you. And we communicate through the spirit. It is so powerful. they thought they did something for bad to our ancestors, which was bad. But however, it was something about them being able to have that intuition and that inside of them that they were able to communicate. Even though they didn't see them, they were able to communicate. And that was through prayer. That was through thinking about them. That was through writing. That was through everything that we are talking about today. So having that is nothing like it in the world. And I hope and pray that everybody can experience that at least one time in their lives, having somebody or a relationship that you can make sure that it's a bond. It's a bond. It's a bond. We have bonds. I have bonds from my ancestors from the grave. Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth. Those are the two that inspires me, get the push. Come on, girl. And give me the vision. And then I have two others, and they're ancestors now too. And it was Sophia Maxwell, Supervisor Maxwell from San Francisco, her mom, and Miss Osceola in San Francisco. Those women were powerful women in the city, and they will come and I would sit at their feet as I was working in our family business. And they would most importantly say, you better serve your community. It was like, and my father had already told her, we that was a part of what we had to do. Whether whatever we were doing, we were gonna make sure we served the community. And he taught us that every person that walked through those bakery doors, whether they had 25 cents to $5 billion, you better treat them with respect and you better honor who they are as an individual. So, having that is so, and I know that do you know what you're having?
Well, I don't know. So
don't find out.
I'm
I don't like to fight. I'm like, just have a healthy baby. Be surprised when it comes, and that's it. But a lot of people find out what they have, and I'm like, no, that takes away to me. That's me. That's my thoughts. But go ahead.
No, I actually don't. And I'm the type, I'm like, I want to know, but my husband, he doesn't want to know. So I'm kind of like, I have a big mouth, and I just know that once I know, I'm going to start gravitating towards whatever gender it is. And I just want a healthy baby. I feel like we kind of are becoming a little obsessed. I'm like, when did gender reveals happen? When did we become obsessed? Let's just have I want a healthy baby, especially in this time. It's so much, like chaos, so much unrest that I just want to find peace in myself and just have a healthy, happy baby.
And you know what? That leads into my next question. What do you do for self-care?
Oh, that's a good question. I think what I've been doing for self-care is definitely walking. I feel like the power of walking, and I don't think that like I rediscovered that during the shelter in place. Like just the basic act of walking is almost like a walking meditation. And just being consistent about that. So I'm like walking like 5 out of 7 days, or just it doesn't matter where or how long, just being in motion and just like getting my body moving. So that's like number one self-care is getting out and walking. And the next thing that I'm doing is just kind of being aware of what I feed myself. Close the door. Thank you. And self-care is sometimes saying close the door. Close the door and taking up space for myself. Taking up space for myself in my life. I've been meeting with like monthly. I've been speaking to another sister. She does, I would say like she's like a spiritual counselor, and we've been working for like the last year, and just being committed to that process or just engaging in, just kind of looking at some unconscious stuff that that I got going on, and just committing to that. And I've been meeting with her for a whole year. So that's been a part of like my self-care. I just haven't seen anybody in my family like go to therapy. I don't know nobody unless they secretly went or they went for a moment because it's something traumatic, but just kind of committing to that of like, you know, I got to start dealing with some
Yeah.
family trauma, dealing with my own trauma. And I feel like as Black women, you know, we just take it in stride.
Yes.
But I remember a quote where it's like, you know, we kind of turned our like we just don't have a way of just like healing or addressing those things.
Yeah.
So just kind of prioritizing my healing and not just keeping it trucking and just keeping it moving. Like, you know, it's a new era, it's a new
Yeah.
time, and I just have to prioritize myself. So, and calling my
Yeah.
friends because it's so easy just to kind of just turn on a movie, put on TV, scroll on my phone, but actually like reaching out to people, like that's a part of self-care. It's just
Yes.
like giving and receiving love, knowing that just pick up the phone. Like you said, sometimes you think about people, and now I'm getting into the habit of, you know, if I'm thinking about somebody, call them. And I feel like that's an act of self-care, is listening to myself, having boundaries for myself. And like I said, close the door. That's like, you know, I've been working on that, creating like strong boundaries. Um, and just knowing that my family still will feel loved, and just taking up space in my own life. I'm gonna be okay. They're gonna be okay. So those that's
Wow. And that's just, to me, COVID-19 is allowing us to put things in proper perspective. It's exposing a whole lot of stuff too, and how you just said that there is things that we've dealt with, traumatized things that we have to deal. You know, that is a part of self-care. How are you going to take care of yourself if you haven't dealt with those underlying issues or things that you might have thought, oh, that you've forgotten, but your body and your mind haven't forgotten. You might have pushed them down or under. But however, just like hearing a song or hearing something, you go back to the time that you heard the song. You remember what was going on. Trauma does the same thing. So us being able to self-care is so, like you said, so important. So my next question to you would be, did you choose your career or did your career choose you?
I'm in a pretty interesting transition. I would say that as a teacher, I think God has led me in so many
Yeah.
different areas. Like even to come to California, that was just like the grace of God. So I would say that God chose me
Okay.
to position myself in these different places. Sometimes with me kicking and screaming.
Yeah.
I'm just like, you
Keisha, we
sure?
know all about that, don't
Like,
we?
yeah, it's like, you sure?
Be like, no, I don't
You,
want to do that.
you sure you want me to come to California and I don't know nobody out there? You sure you want me to work at an outdoor school? So I would say that, as opposed, like even beyond a career, I would just say that God has positioned me, like, you know, and I'm from a family of educators. So I think that's something I always kind of was like, I want to carve my own chart. I'm not going to education. Then what did I end up doing? I met you at a school. Then I ended up subbing. I worked at an outdoor school. I did just so many things in education. And then I ended up in this role as teaching. And even this role, I was like, they recruited me where they just said, wow, you've been subbing for us and we seeing what you're
Wow.
doing. You sure you don't want to take the next step? And I was like, I don't know. Just like I said, kicking and screaming. I don't know
Right.
if I want to be in the classroom. Just so many reservations that I had about teaching. And so I would say that a lot of things chose me, like, you know, also outside of like teaching is like the urban youth ambassadors where I do cultural exchanges with young people. And I think that's something that was born out of my experience seeing the world. So I would just say like God has put me in different positions. And like I said, my passion is service. So I always look at how can I give back based on my experience? You know, COVID-19, people not so excited about travel, but developing a global mindset is so important, and that's something that I impart with my urban youth ambassadors that I recruit, and you know, just expand their mind and possibilities about what's possible. How do other people think? And I just felt like I didn't get that, so I just yeah, a lot of times God positioned me as opposed to things choosing me. It's just like God positioned me. It's the easiest way to describe it. Even now, I feel like I'm being pushed to be positioned somewhere else. Of
Right.
just like use my gifts in a greater way, my writing, and you know, just expanding that, of just like, you know, putting my passions together. I feel like God has positioned me like it's time to integrate all of these parts of yourself and go. So I might be kicking and screaming the next transition, but now I'm just becoming a little bit working on my faith as far as surrendering, just walking in faith. And I'm like, that's not an easy journey.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's position as opposed to choice. God is like,
You
I'm put you here. You're gonna see this. I know your nature. You're gonna give back. And I'm learning, like, you know, this is my nature, is to give back. I can't fear, you know, have these limiting beliefs about the potential of my career, what I would do with more money or in this position. Like, so position. God has
yeah.
positioned me when it comes to
Woo!
career.
Woo! Girl, I'll go on another note on that, because I'm telling you, and that is so important to be in tuned to and yielding to and humbling ourselves to. So that's back to the self-care of being able to understand that first, that your purpose was put in you before you were born, and being able to just be okay with it, even if you kicking and screaming. It's like, because those doors, once you start walking, the doors, they start opening. And you be like, oh, because sometimes he'll put you in a position that you be like, okay, I don't know if that's going to work. But then while you're in it is when he start working and telling you things. But until you start doing, it's like, okay, I'm not going to say anything to you. I'm just going to let you, you know, you'll learn, you're going to get it. But as we mature, as we tune into ourselves and knowing that everybody has a purpose and our stories do count, is what lands us to the call. It's a call on our lives. And like you said, and it's a call of service, because our gifts are not our own. Our gifts is for someone else. And when you are in your gift, it don't even feel like it's a job. It feels like, whoa, you know, you get tired. Don't get me wrong. However, it's a beautiful thing when you're able to know that. So my next question, I would like for you to do another poem if you have one. And you know the one I love, I don't know if you got the opportunity to publish it yet. It was the one you had the women. You remember we had the women stand up at Joyce Gordon Gallery?
Okay, I think that was that
I am a woman. I am, because it was during our Phenomenal Woman events that we give.
Okay, yeah, with the women standing up, that was actually just kind of allowing spirit to move, like, you
Oh,
know.
wow.
So that was really
awesome.
just kind of impromptu of just like what I've learned is we're call and response people. And in my poetry, I want to engage people. I want to pull them in and draw them in. But I think maybe the poem I did before that is Honoring Our Pain, which
I don't know, but go ahead.
or My Sister Not My Competition. So
I like that one too. Let's do both.
okay,
if you don't mind.
Okay, I gotta
because this is what it's about, your personal story, but it's about you as a poet too, a spoken word artist, because you, man, I'm telling you, y'all young sisters is bad. I'm like, yes.
Okay. I'm pulling up My Sister Not My Competition.
Awesome. And then I just also want to say that B.H. Brilliant Minds Project Inc., whoever's participating in this program, you're giving us the authorization to have your voice, your picture, and your comments be recorded. And they will be uploaded to our website on www.bhbrilliantminds.org. www.bhbrilliantminds.org. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm just pulling it up.
No problem.
But I got you. My sister, not my competition.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
I'll tell you just a little bit about my
Please.
sister, not my competition. It was actually written just about my relationship with my little sister, of just us healing our relationship, and an affirmation for her to know that I'm your sister. I am not your competition. And yeah, just kind of being in tune one day, and I was like, wow, this poem really needs to be shared. Okay, so let me just find it. My sister, not my competition.
That's an excellent title, by the way.
All right, here we go. And I just feel like it's also an affirmation for me as well. What I will say is, because it's so much pressure, like, the last couple of years of like social media, of just like all of these images of just like what you're supposed to be, who you're supposed to be. So it's an affirmation for me, like, stay in your lane. And your lane is really accepting who you are and not seeing your sisters as competition. Because even though this was written for my sister, this was written just as much for me to remember. Don't get competitive, because these are your sisters. They are not your competition. And you have your unique thumbprint. So here we go.
That's right.
You are my sister and not my competition. We might have different mothers, but we are cut from the same tree. I'm not your competition. Either you walk with me or move out my way. Extend your hand. Can I trust you to carry me? My sister, don't block me, because we headed in the same direction. Don't put me on a pedestal, because what is in me is in you. You are a mirror for me. And when we remove our makeup, we can reveal our true nature. You are just like me. You are my sister, not my competition. Imagine what we could do together. If we put our pride to the side, and as corny as it sounds, saying kumbaya, we got different mothers, but sprouted from the same seed. Being a black woman is hard enough, even harder with my sister hating and riding me. Return to our true nature. You never see a tulip trying to compete with the rose. They both possess different gifts and beauty.
Yes.
When you win, I win. Stop trying to compete with me. You are my sister. We both bleed. Different paths, same direction, different seeds. We are sisters that come from the same seed. Together we shall proceed. We different fruits, but still grow from trees. You are my sister and not my competition.
Oh!
Hey.
My sister, not my competition.
I'm gonna need that. I need to like post it somewhere. I need to have it like, what?
Yes.
Man, that was beautiful.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes, it was.
I
And
love that title. Love the title.
Yes.
Yes.
And thank you for sharing that. Oh my God. So time is winding down. However, I do want to ask you this question. What would you like to create, share, and give back to the world for your legacy?
I want my grandchildren, my great grandchildren, the future beings that's coming down the line. I want them to look back on my life and say, wow, grandma, she lived fearlessly. That she took on being a New York Times best-selling author, that she told the story of Black women that still empower them to whatever day it is that they find my books, that they find my poetry. I want them to feel inspired, for them to be born with their voice, to maintain their voice, and to be able to share their voice. And that's the legacy I want to leave. And also to have everything they need as far as assets to build their dreams, and to look at my story and to say, wow, look at all of the things look at all the things my great grandmother lived through. She lived through this crazy election. She lived through the pandemic. She lived through the creation of social media, and look what she did in spite of it all. And that's what I want the future generations to say about me, and feel inspired by my legacy, that they can do anything in spite of it all. And that's what I want to leave behind.
Oh my God, that is so good. I do want you to share your stage name when you're doing it.
So,
how did you create that?
And it has, okay, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
It has evolved. I started out Aries J the Poet, and now I go by Aries the Poetic Goddess, of just embracing my divinity. So that's how that comes about, of just embracing my divinity, that I'm not just someone walking around, that this is of God, when I'm using my voice in service, when I'm channeling and writing and saying, okay, this is the story. So I am Aries the Poetic Goddess, but you can find me on Instagram, on Facebook, Aries J the Poet, and it is spelled like Aries but pronounced Aries the Poet. And when you see me, you can call me the Poetic Goddess.
That's what I'm talking about, baby girl. Yes. Well, on the behalf of B-HBrilliantMinds Project Inc., we will continue to invite folks to celebrate the Juneteenth 196 2020 special edition. How we came up with the Juneteenth 196 was from our ancestors, because we could not do our virtual, we couldn't do our outside event. Our ancestors and the Lord said, you know what, do a virtual. And what it was important for us to do was make sure that we got personal stories, that we can continue to let this legacy continue to go, like I said, after we're gone. If you were to count from Juneteenth to December the 31st, it's 196 days. So we're celebrating all the way until, I'm taking Juneteenth all the way to 365 days, but we're going from June to December the 31st in honoring of Juneteenth for us. And I also want to share that our theme for this year was we are the breath of our ancestors. We would never break, because we are history shakers and makers. This is in honor of acknowledging that Black culture, Black minds, Black breath, Black lives matter, and we are saying it loud, because we are Black and proud.
Yes, we are Black and proud.
Yes, we are. And we also want to thank our sponsor, Win-Rose Fund of the Human Council Foundation. If it was not for them allowing us to be able to do this virtual circle, we wouldn't have it. So we're so grateful and thankful to them for allowing us to do this. As we said earlier, that you can catch this interview on B-HBrilliantMinds.org, www.BHBrilliantMinds.org, and you will be able to see all of our virtual Juneteenth celebrations. We just want to say to you, Aries, Goddess the Poet, thank you for being here. Thank you. Tell the hubby and your son and the baby that's inside for thanking you, allowing you to have this time with us, because this is it. This is what it's about. And we're so grateful and thankful that you were here. Keish, did you have any thing you want to share or say to Aries?
I'm just appreciative of the opportunity. The poem, the last poem really touched me, because I have a bunch of sisters as well. So, and I have a sister that is a poet, but she is not walking in her gift. That I encourage her to do all the time. I even said, I will publish it, pay to have it published, just write it down. So I've already followed you or requested you on Facebook, go to Instagram or whatever. Yes. But I am going back to the sisterhood and the womanhood. I'm part of a women's group that is of married women. We wives. It's called a Wives Circle. That what keeps me grounded and keeps me accountable and keeps me aware of myself. I'm definitely an advocate for counseling, so I applied that because, like you said, as a Black generation, whether men, women alike, we don't go to counseling. It's taboo to go. You don't tell your business to people. You sweep it under the rug, and as Black women, we sweep it under the rug because 9 times out of 10 we got kids. We got some. We got to work. We got to keep going in order to survive. We can't just lay down and do nothing because everything will fall apart. We are the center and the heartbeat of our families. So I want to encourage you to continue to do your self-care, because if you're broken down, and while I'm preaching to you, girl, I'm preaching to me. Yes. If you broke down, the family is broken down. If you're not there, the family, they don't survive if we're not there. So if we don't take the time to do self-care, our family is going to die anyway. So, and of course, we don't want that for our families. So we have to make sure we are right spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, everything, to be able to, you have a son. Legend is a son, right? Yes. Legend. So, and I have 3 boys, well, 4, because I have a nephew that I raised or whatever. So, and they're watching, we can't teach them how to be men, but we can teach them the compassion and love for their Black woman or whatever woman they choose to love. But, I want to thank you for sharing this time with us, and encourage you to continue to do self-care and,
yes. Thank you for having me.
Join my women's,
And you two are married, so y'all kings need y'all too.
Yes.
Y'all pray for me. The Lord go bless me with my king. My king is coming.
Yes, your king is coming. That's right.
My king is
over there coming, waiting for you to pass on by.
Yes.
Yes.
So, oh my God. So we just, again, want to say thank you for taking out the time, Aries.
Thank you for having me.
Love that name. That's
needed for
Aries.
my soul.
That's my sign.
Baby girl, we connected. So we ain't going to never not be in each other's lives if I can help it and if the Lord can stay the same. And I have a project that I'm getting ready to do. So, I'll be calling.
And I'll be here.
Definitely calling on you.